recording. What's up?
Howdy, folks.
That was a very low-key intro for us. Welcome back to the projectGenX podcast. I am one of your hosts, Alan Smith, along with...
The other guy, I'm Big Dave.
Big Dave, that's right. And today, how do we describe this? So Dave and I are both big Star Wars fans.
Yeah.
We grew up in the era of Star Wars, and a lot of filmmakers who came up, in the 90s and in the early 2000s also had come along during that, had been influenced by Star Wars over the years.
Yeah. And,
there was some, there's been some movies on different, made about different fandoms over the years. Some of them documentaries. We've covered The King of Kong on here, and there was Trekkies back in the day, that people talked about.
Trekkies.
Yeah, about people, and Star Trek, whatever, There's, I'm okay. I mean, I grew up watching.
I like
dad.
both.
I know.
I'm catching an attitude on purpose.
There was. Did you ever see Free Enterprise?
No.
That one's pretty funny. It's kind of like this one where it's a narrative, and it's about somebody who's like a big Star Trek fan, and all this stuff. And
well, there's a new animation out that I've been thinking about trying to figure out how to watch it called Star Trek: The Lower Decks.
Oh, I don't know about that one.
And it's evidently stories about the stuff that's happening.
Oh, really?
At the bottom parts of the ship.
I'll tell you, what, since we're talking about Star Wars, and let's go ahead and get off on a tangent before we even get to what we're talking about, since we're really good at that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
There was Dark Horse Comics had the Star Wars license for years and years,
absolutely.
and they did a whole bunch of stuff.
I used to read it.
There were they were one-shots. They were kind of, they were the same characters, but they were disconnected,
Yeah.
That they put together into they put them together into a collection that's called Tag and Bink Are Dead. And Tag and Bink they're rebel operatives who have infiltrated the Empire.
Yeah.
And it starts off in the original trilogy, and it's
Star Wars, Empire, and Jedi.
Right. So they're showing them, and you're seeing all this big stuff that's happening in the movies that you've seen, but in the background, Tag and Bink are like doing stuff that's sometimes affecting what you've seen, and sometimes they're just kind of there. Like they are, in Star Wars when Obi-Wan is going to shut down the tractor beam.
Yeah.
And there's the two stormtroopers that are talking about, have you been out to the Outer Rim? Yeah, blah, blah, blah,
No.
or whatever it is.
Have you seen that new model? I forget what
whatever
blaster?
It is. So that's Tag and Bink. So it's that type of it's like they wrote them into that, but it goes on through to where like they wound up being on the Death Star too, and were killed because they were actually on when it blew up. And it's funny because like the last panel in that story, it's showing Anakin and Obi-Wan and Yoda, there's a Force ghost, and then Tag and Bink are like off to the side, like type stuff. What's her name? That when in Jedi, when she's given when you're talking about, she says, many Bothans died to bring us these plans.
Mon
Mothma, yeah. And they're like, and one of the guys is like, Manny Bothans, I knew him. He was a really nice guy. It's kind of that type of stuff.
Yeah.
But then they went back and did another one after for the prequel trilogy, and like so they're friends with Anakin from when he's a little boy. And so it's one of those things that like they keep running across him as all this stuff is happening because they're somehow tied to the Senate, like lower people, they're not like senators or anything. They're like administrative assistants or something, but in what's the middle one? Attack of the Clones, that really bad dialogue that Anakin's saying to Padme, trying to win her affection. Well, they're doing a Cyrano where they're off to the side, like, okay, this is what you need to say to her. So it's one of those things where it's like they're the reason that he's like saying this like really terrible dialogue.
That they should have made that canon because that would make way more sense.
Mm-hmm. but it's that kind of stuff.
No one likes Mannequin Skywalker.
It's all of that stuff, where it's just it's like, okay. It reminds me a lot of. I know you're not a big Lost fan, but did you watch it at all?
I tried.
Okay, I think it was in the third season or so.
I didn't get past like episode 4 of the first season.
There's an episode in either the third or fourth season where because you had all these survivors. And they really kind of focused down on like this dozen or so, and people would come and go, but there were all these other survivors as well, and all of a sudden you started seeing these two people that were just kind of like, oh, we're going over to the caves, like, okay, can we go with you? Sure, and it was just kind of like, who are these people all of a sudden? And their names went, and there was an episode that was all about them, and their names were Nikki and Paolo. And what it was is they were actually jewel thieves, and they had stolen these diamonds, and they had lost them in the wreckage. So they kept going on these, trying to find the diamonds.
Side quests?
Yeah, and so it was one of those things where like they were kind of showing, they were doing the backstory on them, and so when these big things like the hat, like they were the ones who actually found the hatch even before Locke did, and all this, like they walked and they found the plane, and all this kind of stuff. They found like all this stuff before anybody else did because they were looking for these diamonds the entire time. And it's just like,
and you didn't think to mention anything about this?
And it's what's funny is that like the payoff on that one was that one of the other survivors was a scientist or a biologist or something, and so he was like cataloging a lot of the animals that they were finding on the island, and he found this one spider that had its venom had a paralyzing effect. Yeah, and it would basically put you into a coma where you look like you were dead,
but you weren't.
Just like real shallow breathing, slowed heart rate and all that kind of stuff. And so they get the diamonds, and there's kind of I'm trying to remember all of it exactly. There's kind of a double cross that happens. And so it's one of those things where they both wind up getting bitten by this spider. And so it's one of those things that Nikki, the girl, like Hurley finds her. Like she like kind of running back, when she falls over. And she says, paralyzed, but he hears Paolo lies, which is Paolo was the other character, and so they went and they found him, and he was quote unquote dead also. So they buried them alive, and there was a callback later, like in season 5 or 6. I think it's in season 6. There's this new group that come onto the island, and one of them can talk to like. They really get into like some people have like powers and stuff,
sure.
And so this new guy can like, if someone dies, he can kind of like see what happened to them, like he can kind of read their mind, like their final thoughts or whatever. Yeah. And they're going along, and he's like talking, he's all like, wow, going off about something. And he goes, and for some reason there's 2 people who were buried over here who weren't dead when they were buried, but there's like $10,000 worth of diamonds in there with, or something. Just like, so it's one of those things. It's a big callback into that, so.
I never could get into that show. Like I said, I didn't get past like episode 3 or 4 of the first series.
It. I'm rewatching it.
When my wife loved the show.
I love the show, man.
When she was trying to explain it to me, and then all of a sudden she went smoke monster, I went, yep. Yeah. I'm glad I didn't waste my time.
We're not even like we're like 9 minutes in. We're not even talking about our topic yet.
This is your fault. I
know. We've done that a couple of times already, but it's really kind of cool though with that show because Damon Lindelof that became the showrunner, and really had a lot to do with the direction of the show, and the way it all played out.
No direction. Don't even act like it did. But the guys that were writing the show didn't even know where they were going with it or how they were going to end it. Or he
did an interview not all that long ago because it was just the 10-year, like since the finale, just happened, and he did an interview not that long ago where he talked about it, and he said, contrary to popular belief, we did know how the series was going to end. We just didn't know when it was going to end. And so it was one of those things that it was, one of the most successful shows on television And so ABC wanted it to keep going. And they had to fight them to say, no, end of season 6 is it. Yeah. That's it. We have to have this end point. You know, and I don't care how many people are watching the show. We have to have this end point to start wrapping up some stuff, you know. Now, I really do believe, especially with J.J. Abrams being involved in the first season especially, it was kind of one of those things where he's like, oh, there's a polar bear, oh, there's the hatch, oh, there's this, there's that. We'll work on that later, you know. And then it's kind of one of those things where you're like, because, you know. But anyway, we want to get into Lost because I'm actually working on a podcast about Lost.
You have fun with that?
I'm going to. I've got somebody else that's going to help me out with it, and it will be. I've been rewatching it, and it's. I have not watched that show since it was on the air, and so literally I've sat for 10 years and not watched this program. And now I'm come back to it again, and it's still hitting me in the feels the same way that it did back. Even though I know, you know, it's still kind of like, is this the episode? Oh yeah, this is the one where this, you know, type stuff. Yeah. And it's a lot easier because now you can kind of. It's kind of like when we talk about Fight Club. You go back and you watch it you go the second time, and you're like, oh, that's the reason why this happened over here, and this is happening, and this is why this is going in the background, and blah 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 blah.
If you need a producer, I can help you with that.
Yeah. So anyway, now that we've gone all the way around the world.
I think you started off with Dave and I are pretty big Star Wars fans.
So let's see.
And it's true. We are big Star Wars fans. My wife, I think, is an even bigger fangirl than I am.
Kyle Newman.
Not that I'm a girl or anything.
Well,
thanks.
But Kyle Newman apparently is a bigger fan than all of us because he directed this movie, Fanboys. The movie itself has an interesting story, but we're going to get to that after we actually talk about the movie itself. Sure. Okay. So Fanboys takes place in October of 1998. It starts off Halloween night, 1998.
Yep.
And you get a bunch of friends. They've been friends since high school. That one of them has kind of left the group and kind of gotten on with his life, and he started working for his dad.
He gave up on a dream to go out, and he started working for his dad at the car lot and kind of doing the marketing and sales for the car lot.
And the rest of his friends are still, you know, reading comic books and obsessing over Star Wars. And
I think a couple of them own a comic book shop.
I don't know if they own it, but they work there anyway, you know, kind of stuff. And, you know, just, you know, on the internet, this is early days of the internet, you know, and AOL chat rooms and all that stuff. And so it's one of those things they reconnect. And, you know, he hasn't been around as much, but they
meet up at the party
at the Halloween party, right?
Yeah.
And come to find out one of the guys is dying of cancer.
Yes.
And of course they're all excited because the Phantom Menace is set to come out in April or in May of the next year, but his cancer is so far advanced, he's not going to live long enough to see it.
Yeah.
So they go back to this plan that they came up with when they were in high school.
Fifth grade.
Is that what it is? It's a long time, yeah.
What was the guy's name? I can't think of the characters' names right now, but the guy who's dying, drew up the plans for this back in
to
the 5th
go
grade.
To Skywalker Ranch and steal a copy of the Phantom Menace so that he can see it.
Yeah.
And so this road trip begins. And
let's talk about the characters.
Okay,
because
I got them right here. Yeah,
you've got Hutch,
right?
Who is? I think he kind of thinks of himself.
Let's see. Okay, so we got Sam Huntington in this movie.
Yeah,
Chris Marquette, Dan Fogler. I love Dan Fogler.
Yeah,
Jay Baruchel and Kristen Bell.
Yes,
and this is Kristen Bell post Veronica Mars, pre.
Blowing up,
being Kristen Bell in main film and doing The Good Place, and you know, and everything else that she's done, you know, and so where do we want to start here? The thing is he doesn't know this night. It's like they kind of get into it. Okay, so
you've got Hutch. Who is kind of like he thinks of only way I can describe him is if you rolled up a geek in both Han Solo and the Wookiee and made him a super nerd. That's Hutch.
That's Dan Fogler, right? Yeah. I loved. Do you watch the Goldbergs?
No, I don't. I hear people talking about it. He
shows up like once a year on that show. He plays their uncle, and he's always like, it's chaos when he shows up. I mean, it's always chaos when he appears. He's like the younger screw up, brother, and like one episode he comes in, he's like, he like pulls up in a DeLorean, and he's all like, I've got an investment banking and I'm doing great and blah 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 blah, and then like he loses his job and then come to find out DeLorean's not even in business anymore and he can't get his car worked on, it's one of those type things, where
but what's funny about that is there is enough new old stock out there for the DeLoreans that you can get them worked on and fixed.
Now I know him.
Yeah. You've got Mirrors, which is what you think of as your quintessential stereotypical nerd.
Okay. This is Jay Baruchel, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Skinny. Everyone doesn't know, Jay Baruchel was in, let's see, he was in, she's not, it's funny because he's been in a bunch of stuff, and I'm trying. He was in Tropic Thunder.
Yeah.
He was the real skinny, like the other one, that was in there. He was in, he was in Undeclared. He was kind of the main character in that show.
Yeah.
It was only on one season. He was in She's Out of My League. He was the main character in that. He was also in Inglourious Bastards.
Oh, that's right. Mm-hmm. I'd forgotten about that.
And he's been in a bunch of stuff. Like you would see me like, oh yeah. So, of course he was in what's that movie? This Is the End.
Oh,
where he plays himself. He's the one that Seth Rogen picks up at the airport at the beginning of it. They're kind of following him. He's like, oh yeah. It's pretty funny. So
then you got the character who's working at the car lot. That's Bots.
Mm-hmm.
And then there's the character that's dying, and for some reason I can't think of his character. Linus.
Yeah.
And then you have fangirl Zoe,
right,
which is Kristen Bell.
And I love her in this movie.
Oh, I do
Even
too.
though she disappears for a big stretch in the middle of it.
Yeah.
But it's still one of those things that when she does show up, it's like, she's trying to get. She's obviously got a crush on Jay Baruchel's character.
Mirrors,
and it's one of those things. She's always trying to get his attention. She even flashes him in the comic store at one point, and they're so busy, like looking at something online.
Oh no, he was too busy talking to his internet girlfriend.
Yeah, exactly.
Which we'll get into later on.
Yes, because that is a whole thing. So So, anyways, it's the next day that they go and they tell Linus that, or they tell him that that he's dying. So they're like, okay,
no, they tell Bots that Linus is dying.
Yeah, they meet Bots or whatever, that Linus is dying.
Yeah.
So it's one of those things that like that's when they kind of like, well, we've had this plan, so let's kind of throw it together. Like, okay, we're gonna go. And they jump in Hutch's van.
It's quintessential 70s. You can tell he's trying to do that 70s custom van.
Kind of an A-Team van, kind of not,
But it is black primer,
right,
with Star Wars mural and decoration on the outside. And the inside, he's built it up as much as he could to be the Millennium Falcon.
Right. And it plays that, and all he ever listens to is Rush. That's it.
My man.
All Rush all the time.
Rule number 1. In my van, it's Rush all the time. No exceptions. Mm-hmm. Rule number 2, never touch the red button.
Right. And then we find out later that the red button is nitrous.
Yes.
And there's a really funny sight gag that we can't, we can describe it, but you have to see it. Okay. So it's one of those things that, like I said, they go cross country.
Well, they get in the van and they're supposed to meet up with Mirror's internet girlfriend.
Right. Who is in
Texas.
Austin, Texas.
There's
a reason it's in Austin, Texas.
Okay.
So they go.
I know why it's supposed to be, but
right. But that's the whole thing. But there's a reason that it's specifically Austin, Texas.
Yeah.
They get there and come to find out
they went to.
Okay. First they go to Riverside, Iowa.
They're supposed to be going to Texas.
Right.
They fall asleep, and Hutch decides
to take a detour. Right.
To take a detour
to Iowa.
To Riverside, Iowa,
because
this is the birthplace of William Shatner.
No, not William Shatner.
No. Oh, sorry.
James T. Kirk.
James T. Kirk. My apologies.
James Tiberius Kirk.
They're kind of one and the same for me.
Well, and so it's one of those things that he goes there just to like mess with Trekkies.
Yes.
In which they tell him that they do not want to be called Trekkies because Trekkies is a derogatory term. They want to be called Trekkers.
Which is actually incorrect.
Whatever. It's again.
Because as big of a Star Wars fan I am, I have been to a Trek convention. And the 50
nerd.
Yes, I am. Yes, I am. I'll wear the badge. The older generation, the original generation, they're Trekkies.
Right.
The next generation are Trekkers.
Okay, whatever.
Yeah, there's a difference.
Whatever. Anyway, so
Yes, I am that guy.
but there's this whole thing, and they end up like taking out the mock statue because the city won't actually put up a statue of
And
James
Star
T.
Trek
Kirk.
actually said that we'd sue them if they made the
Right.
statue look like the characters.
No, I think they end up running it over, don't they?
Oh,
'Cause
yeah,
it's
no.
paper mache or something.
No,
Yeah,
he
it's-
totally backs up all over that.
I know, and it's this whole big thing. So then they finally make it to Austin, Texas to meet this internet girlfriend who turns out to be a 13-year-old girl.
10.
Or is she 10? She's only 10. Okay,
He's like, what are you, 13? She goes, I'm 10.
right. And then her uncle shows up.
Yes.
That is played by Ethan Suplee.
Yes.
Do you know who he was, who he is, and what the significance is?
Yes.
Okay,
I do.
He is playing Harry Knowles.
Yes.
Who Harry Knowles, if you know anything about, especially early 2000s internet culture, late 90s, early 2000s, kind of stuff, is the founder of Ain't It Cool News.
Yes.
Which
Is the Geek Bible.
I think part of the reason that they put him into this is because he really championed this movie.
Yes.
And so they're like, okay, well, let's do an homage and have somebody playing Harry Knowles, because people don't know Harry Knowles. Well, Harry Knowles has had some issues in recent years. Was actually not in charge of anything down there any longer.
Yeah.
But he's also in a wheelchair, so it's one of those things. Here's a funny thing, and I did not realize it until several years ago, like probably about 5 or 6 years ago. I was going back and I went and watched The Faculty.
Yeah.
And that is Robert Rodriguez did that movie. Harry Knowles is in that movie.
Really?
Yes, I was like, oh crap, that's Harry Knowles. Like he's like in it, just like in the beginning, like just for like a scene where he like walks through, type stuff. But I was like, wow, I didn't really, and I knew that they were friends.
Yeah.
But yeah. So, anyways,
That's crazy.
Yeah. So.
Well, they have the character Harry Knowles in the movie.
Right.
Kick the crap out of all four of them.
Right. Because it's his niece.
Yeah. and mirrors is the whole. He's in the restaurant going, "You're 10?
Yeah.
I'm a pedophile.
Yeah.
I'm a pedophile. I'm a pedophile." And they run in and grab him and shut him up and drag him back out to the van.
Yeah.
But Harry Knowles, the character Harry Knowles, puts them through a quiz to prove that they are true fanboys.
Absolutely. Yep.
And then he gives them information that they were supposed to be picking up to get into Skywalker Ranch.
Yeah. Along the way,
and the guys, the code word is Fuzzy Nerf Herder.
Mm-hmm. Fuzzy Nerf Herder.
Which is going to be...
Which is funny because it's actually Scruffy Nerf Herder.
Yeah.
That's there's my nerd coming out here. There was this really bad meme on Facebook the other day somebody had put out, and it said, it was basically looking out the window of a house, and there was an Ewok standing in the yard.
I was the one who posted
Was that
that.
you? Okay.
That was me.
And yeah, that's right, it was. And it says, you should bring your Ewoks inside.
No,
what was it say?
It was, Ewoks are not outdoor pets. They're indoor pets.
Right.
ENDOR.
And you saw my,
Yeah.
I was like, actually, it's the forest plant moon of Endor.
Yeah.
That's I know.
If you want to get technical there, geek.
Right. So anyway, but then they have a situation where they their van breaks down.
Yes.
And they wind up at a biker bar.
That turns out to be
a gay biker bar.
a modern version of the what was the bar in Police Academy?
I don't know. I haven't seen that movie in forever. And so they have to, like, in order to get them to get the money to fix the thing, they have to like strip to menudo. And it's
and Hutch completely goes full Monty,
right,
revealing the fact that he only has one nut.
Yes,
and
everybody's like, oh,
and everybody at the bar is just like, ah.
And he's like, I had a lightsaber. What was it? I had a lightsaber accident when I was a kid. It's like,
and one of my favorite characters shows up to kind of save him, which is Danny Trejo.
yes.
Playing Chief.
Yes. There are a lot of cameos in this movie. A ton of them. Kevin Smith and Jamie Hughes show up at a certain point, and they're not playing Jay and Silent Bob at all.
Not.
You know,
they're playing basically Kevin Smith and Jason Hughes, and
Seth Rogen shows up in
Kevin's
this.
pimping out Jason. See, I told you, gentle and woman-like.
Right, exactly. But yeah, Seth Rogen shows up at one point in a really funny.
He shows up in a couple different characters.
Right, but I'm talking about the one at the end where he's the pimp.
Yeah,
is hilarious because he's got a Jar Jar tattoo. He's
on his back.
Yeah, he's like, this guy's gonna be awesome.
Yeah. Carrie Fisher is in this.
That's true.
William
Shatner.
William Shatner
appears
is in this.
as himself.
Billy D. Williams shows up in this.
And I love the fact that William Shatner shows up as himself. He's as a quote unquote security guard at a casino.
Yeah.
But he's actually William Shatner. It's
well, no, I'm William Shatner.
Right.
And he's actually the fuzzy nerf herder.
Right. But
who gives him everything to get into Skywalker Ranch because he wants Lucas destroyed.
Yes. And but yeah, the whole thing. The reason, and it's was it Jamie King? I think it is. It's one of the that's one of the prostitutes.
Yeah,
and that's the whole thing is that they pick up these girls and they think that
we picked up the
and then
they're
come
escorts.
to find out they're escorts and Seth Rogen is their pimp, and he's got it's one of those says because he's got a red one tattoo on his shoulder.
Yeah.
He takes his shirt off. He's like, yeah, look, I got this Jar Jar. And he's like, this guy's going to be awesome. It's like, we all know better. So anyways, eventually they do make it
to Skywalker Ranch.
Now, here you go. I'm really going to test your nerddom here.
Okay.
So, Ray Park.
Oh, that's right. Ray Parks is in this.
Did you? And he's a security guard.
Yeah.
And they break in, and it's one of those things where
Danny McBride is
I know, and it's one of those things they break into Skywalker Ranch.
Yep.
And there is actually a trash compactor.
Yes.
Like the whole thing. You know.
There is.
But what's funny is that the guards, the uniforms they're wearing, is from THX. What's it called? His first Lucas's first movie.
It's like THX 1.
Yeah, it was 1140 or something.
Yeah, something like that.
I'm losing all my nerd credibility now. But that's the outfits that they're wearing. The silver mask. Those are from that movie. So it's one of those things where it's not just Star Wars. They're they are referencing quite a few things. So ultimately, what it comes down to is they all wind up in security. Danny McBride is testing them on if they're true fans or true nerds and stuff. And
THX 1138.
1138, that's what it was. And so it's one of those things where he's asking them all these sex questions and nobody knows any of them except for Kristen Bell.
He asked him a bunch of Star Wars questions.
And they know all the answers.
And then ask him one sexual question.
And they're all like,
Yeah, except for Christian Bell, who answers all the sex questions.
Exactly.
Zoe, who answers all the sex questions and all the Star Wars questions.
So what ultimately ends up happening is, even though George Lucas never appears in this film, he actually did, he saw an early print of this and gave them his blessings. He was like, no, this is great. This is great that, you guys, love these movies so much that, you want to do this kind of stuff. And he actually, in that, let them use, if you ever notice all the sound effects were actually from Star Wars. He let them use the original sound effects.
Yes.
From,
I could tell.
Yeah. So that was really cool on his part.
But he supposedly calls in
to
Danny McBride,
and he tells that to let Linus watch the movie. And so he goes in and he watches it, and then
they have to go outside.
The rest of them have to wait outside, but he gets to go watch it, and he comes back and
they're like, "Well, how was it?" And what there's been this whole game, the whole movie through. When they get in the van, it's like when you call shotgun, but instead of shotgun, you call Wookiee.
Right.
Well, he comes out and he goes, and they're like, "How was it? How was it?" And all he does is he kind of looks at them blankly and says, "Wookiee." Mm-hmm. And they get in a van and they drive off.
Right. And so we fast forward to opening night.
Linus has died.
Linus is no longer with us. The rest of the guys are waiting in line.
Yep.
They've been camping out to see the movie. And even Bot's older brother comes down because he's a big Star Wars fan too.
Yeah.
You know, he's like, oh, yeah, it's the wars, man, you know, kind of stuff.
You get to see Kristen Bell.
Yes, and dressed in the Leia outfit.
The metal bikini.
The slave Leia outfit,
Yeah.
But this movie is an hour and a half of fanboy goodness that sets up to the last line of the movie that we are not going to spoil because it is an hour and a half setup for the payoff of the very last line of the movie.
This is an hour and a half joke.
Yeah.
Where you spend an hour and a half listening to the setup of the joke, and the last line of the movie is the punchline.
It's kind of like The Aristocrats.
Yeah.
Of these really long for The Aristocrats. You know,
exactly.
But except this is a really funny joke.
This is a great joke because it's true.
It is. And it's one of those things where I saw this in theaters when it finally made it to theaters in 2009. It played at our small art house theater that we have here.
Say it,
Belcourt, you know.
Yeah.
And
we love the Belcourt.
We do love the Belcourt, and it was so much fun watching it because it was one of those things. There was probably, I don't know, maybe 50 people there at the most. But they were
all Star Wars fans,
and they had been following the saga of this story.
Yeah.
We're going to get into that because
I'm glad because I don't think I've heard the saga.
All right.
I watched the movie today again. I really enjoy this movie.
I have seen this movie. Of fun. And this is one of those movies, again, because it's funny because I know a lot of people who are big Star Wars fans who don't know about this movie. And every time I always delight in here, watch this. You're going to love it.
Are you really a big Star Wars fan if you don't know about this movie?
Well, but the thing is that this movie, it wasn't a big movie. I mean, it lost all kinds of money, and
it's a love letter to Star Wars fans.
There's another movie called 5/25/1977.
Okay,
that was written and directed by someone I can't remember the guy's name off the top of my head, but the person who wrote and directed this movie was telling essentially an autobiographical story about when he was a kid, when he was a teenager. You know, it was one of those things, he wanted to make movies, and his mom was like, look, you can't, whatever. So it was one of those things, he's like, no, I really want to do this. She's like, all right, if you really want to do this, I'll see what I can do. So she picked up a Starlog magazine. Remember Starlog magazine?
Oh, yeah.
This is in the 70s, okay? This is like 76, 75, 76, something like that. And in the back of it, there was actually listings for they had like telephone, like addresses and telephone numbers for different movie production, whatever. One of them was George Lucas.
Yeah.
Because at that point he had made American Graffiti, that kind of stuff. And so she called and actually got his secretary on the phone, eventually got Lucas on the phone, and said, look, I've got a son who wants to make movies. I want him to kind of get it out of his system. Is there any way that I could send him out there to intern? And he's like, sure. So, and this is a true story, okay? So he sends him out there, and he winds up being on set, like when they're doing all, they've already done all the filming and everything, but they're doing all the, the After Effects and everything for Star Wars. He meets Steven Spielberg, and all this stuff, and so it's one of those things that he's getting ready, so it's one of those things that he's been talking up this Star Wars movie for close to a year, that nobody knows anything about, and he's just so excited, like, no, this movie's gonna be great, it's blah blah blah, and of course Star Wars went on to become this huge thing, and so it's those types of things.
Get it out of his system.
No. But it's still one of those things that, again, you probably never heard that movie until I just told you about it right now.
No.
And there are other movies out there, about fandoms and different stuff like that. So I get it because it's one of those things. I knew about this because I had heard about it I saw a trailer, and I think it was Ain't It Cool News, 07. somewhere around
I
in
remember
there.
seeing trailers for it. Yeah.
And I was just like, I've got to see this movie because the trailer is spectacular for this thing. I mean, like, it's one of those things that's like, if you like even remotely like Star Wars, and you see this trailer, you're like, oh, I've got to see this movie. I've got to see this movie. So what wound up happening is they shopped it around to, they took it to different film festivals here and there. Harry Knowles became a big proponent. He played at Button-on-a-thon, and it was one of those things. He wrote about it on Ain't It Cool News and all that kind of stuff. Well, what wound up happening is that it was originally supposed to be released in August of 2007, but it was pushed back to January of 2008 because the director was given more funding by a studio, like an actual studio. Like the guy didn't like, oh hey, we think this might actually play, what kind of stuff. So they went back and they were going to do some shooting. That got delayed. The shooting got delayed, so it got pushed back further into 2008. That's when I think it was Harvey Weinstein got involved. I think this is a Weinstein production.
It is.
Okay,
it is.
So Harvey Weinstein got involved, and that's how you get Seth Rogen and Kevin Smith and all this stuff. Like, if you watch this movie, you can kind of see this is where the studio said, okay, we're putting this in here.
Yeah.
You can kind of see, okay. One of the big hang-ups on this movie, the reason, and like, it was finally released in 2009. What was the date? February of 2009.
Okay.
So
which is a terrible time to release a movie.
I know. January is just put it
January,
out. Just get
February.
it out there. 2 years of development on this thing.
Yeah.
Because the Weinstein Company wanted to take the cancer plot out of it. Like, they were just like, look, it's the cancer's not funny, so we can't. We want this to be more of a.
That's the whole
reason, the whole motivation for them
yeah.
going out there is because their friend's has got cancer and is not going to make it long enough to see the Phantom Menace. He's been waiting for
it's the whole
years,
premise of the whole thing.
So it's one of those things that they went and they recut it, took all that stuff out, put a whole bunch of other stuff in there, and they were really trying to push it more in like an American Pie, like a gross out humor, type. Whatever, and after it,
they ran it through test
audiences. And it did not do well.
Yeah,
and then they actually did simultaneous showings, one with and one without.
Yeah,
and not the reviews, but like all of the data that they got back from the original was much better than the recut, and so they basically had the Newman go back and recut it to put all the stuff back in and everything, and then they'd push it out in February of 2009.
Imagine that. Harvey Weinstein screwing up a bunch of stuff.
I know. Well, see, and the whole thing is that at the same time this saga was going on was also the saga of Trick or Treat. Was happening.
Oh, yeah.
Different company, but it was still that there were these two movies that I had seen a trailer for almost 2 years prior.
Yeah.
And of course Trick or Treat never made it to theaters. It wound up releasing directly to DVD.
Side note, if the folks that did Trick or Treat ever decide to get off their butt and finally do Trick or Treat 2, could you please re-release Trick or Treat to the theaters and make it like a double feature?
I agree with that. Something that we didn't talk about.
Features.
One of the things that I forgot to talk about when we talked about the Scott Pilgrim. When we did our episode on Scott Pilgrim, Edgar Wright was going to do a 10-year anniversary re-release to theaters.
Oh, that would have been cool.
And of course, COVID happened, and unless things change between now and September, it's kind of one of those things where it's kind of up in the air. But that was on the docket of, I'm going to have this re-release at the. I'm sure it would be a Phantom or a Fathom Events thing, kind of like.
I would pay the extra money.
I would do it. I've done it a couple of times. Like I went when they did the. It was a 30th. Was it 30th? I don't think they quite hit the 30th anniversary. It might have been a little after of Transformers the movie. they played it in the theaters, and I went and saw it. I love that movie though. So
you're talking about the original Michael Bay?
No. The 1986 cartoon.
Okay.
Transformers the movie, not
Okay.
Yeah, no. I wouldn't know.
I was like, why would you pay extra money for Michael Bay?
I've seen that movie one time. It was the night that it was released in theaters, and I have not seen anything of that since. I was like, this is ridiculously dumb.
The only reason I've seen any of the rest of them is because I would catch them late at night, like on TNT or TBS or something like that.
I have no desire whatsoever on all that kind of stuff. But sometimes Fathom Events does some really cool stuff like that, you know.
But please, if
Trick or Treat,
please do Trick or Treat 2, and please re-release Trick or Treat and do it as a double feature. Basically, it would be worth it.
This is what happened. Fanboys was released. The film's budget was approximately $3.9 million,
which is little or nothing for a movie.
It made like $960,000 in theaters. Yeah, so it was one of those things that is like. Now it has since it was released.
It's become a cult
and
classic.
Here's the fun thing. It was released on DVD on the 10th anniversary of The Phantom Menace.
Oh, that's hysterical. They did that on purpose. Bless them for it.
I know. But it was still one of those things where it was like, okay, that's good. But again, I have given you had not seen this prior to me giving you this, right?
No.
Okay. We had talked about it though, and I kept telling you, I was like, and I told you even then, because when we were talking before we sat down, I was like, was I not wrong? That movie is an hour and a half set up for a punchline that pays off wonderfully.
And it was one of those things where I watched it and then I watched it again.
Right. Yes, it's so. I mean, it's
to go back and catch the stuff
movie
that I missed.
Yeah, I know. And so it is a. I have several times over the last 10 years or so. Somebody I was like, you haven't seen Fanboys? Here, you can borrow my copy. Here, or oh no, it used to be. I don't know if it still is. It was available on Netflix.
Nope,
it's not any longer.
The only way you can get it online right now is you can purchase it from Prime, or
it's probably on YouTube,
Fandango, and then there was one other place where you could purchase it. It was like a $10 purchase.
I know.
For the digital.
I'm sure it's probably on Apple. On the iTunes. No, it's not on iTunes, really?
I looked for it.
Yeah.
I've got
sometimes they have the rentals that you can do them on there. So.
I've got Roku.
Oh, yeah.
I hit the little microphone button and just say the title, and it brings up everywhere it's available.
Right. Yeah. So, but it is such a, and the reason Dave has a copy of it on DVD now is because.
Thank you.
I found a Blu-ray copy of it not long ago. I've been spending my time off buying way too many movies that I really probably shouldn't be. My movie collection has grown. That's part of the reason we've done so many movies here lately. We're going to wind up doing Rio Bravo before it's over. So.
Well, maybe do a comparison between Rio Bravo and El Dorado.
Yeah. That would be actually pretty interesting.
Because they're basically the same movie with some different actors.
Well, it's funny even because, of course, we're, again, getting off on a tangent. The funny thing about it is that, like, really and truly all you do in that movie is you take
Richard Gardner out and put in Dean.
No, it's not. It's not Richard Gardner. It's oh my goodness, I can't believe I can't remember the guy's name. Robert Mitchum.
That's it.
You switch out Robert Mitchum for Dean Martin, and it's funny because you put them side by side and they look a lot alike. Okay?
Yes, they do.
And you switch out Ricky Nelson for a very young James Caan.
Yep.
And again, you put them side by side, they kind of look alike.
No, James Caan was blonde and Ricky Nelson was.
But there's enough of a
dark-headed and younger.
And then the difference, I forget the women. One of them is Angie Dickens, isn't it?
Yes.
And then the other one, I can't remember who the other one is. And it's one of those things. Again, they look kind of similar.
Yeah.
The story's kind of similar. You know, it's it's one of those is this a remake or not? It could be, but okay.
It's pretty close. The storylines are very
similar. Both of them are good movies.
I bet if I could get copies of them, I could probably load them both into my.
Oh yeah, side by side comparisons.
Well, put them into my video editing software and like cut them together so that
absolutely
with scenes from both.
Absolutely. So, and here's the thing that bothers me the most about Fanboys is it's got a 32% on Rotten Tomatoes.
That's not right.
I know. And Metacritic only gave it like a 45 out of 100.
That's not right.
I know, and like Roger Ebert gave it like 1.5 stars out of 4.
Ebert.
I know, and it's one of those things that the critics were not nice to this movie.
It wasn't
at
written
all.
for the critics.
No, it wasn't. It was written for the fans.
Yep.
Is 100% what it is, and so Fanboys is out there. You can find it. Whether it's, I'm sure it's on Prime. You said it was on Prime, right?
It was on Amazon. It was on Fandango.
Yeah,
and there
a
was
couple
like
things like
another
that.
one.
Obviously, it's available. I mean, I've picked it up I've seen it on DVD plenty of times. Usually at used places. Sometimes you can find them at I find it at Walmart, like the $5 bin.
I've never seen it.
I've seen it in the $5 bin before.
I dig into $5 bins extensively.
And that kind of Best Buy has like a cheap bin also.
Yeah.
That where it's $5 or $7 or whatever it is, and so it's one of those things, especially used. If you have some place that sells used media around you, you can probably find this without any problems.
And we're big proponents of the used media places and local.
Well, we're
media places.
Big proponents of physical media.
Yes,
because sometimes that's, again, like in this situation, that's about the only way you can find some of this stuff. You're not going to find. And again, we talked about Trick or Treat last. During Oktoberfest, and which is coming up, and but it is one of those things where that's the only way we were going to see Trick or Treat.
Yes,
and Dave, again, you had not.
I hadn't seen that one. Somehow I had missed it.
Yeah, and I kept saying this is a really good movie. We need to cover this one, and Fanboys, check it out. If you love Star Wars, it's fun. If you don't love Star Wars, it's still a lot of fun.
Yeah.
And just then, and if you don't like the Phantom Menace, wait till the very end of the movie.
Just watch. It's great.
It is such a wonderful setup for a punchline, and oh man,
the aristocrats.
Yes. So, anyways, if you would like to get in touch with us, you can email us at projectgenxpod@gmail.com. We also, you can find us on Instagram. You can find us on Facebook. You can find us on Twitter. You can find us on Parler. I'm probably going to get us on Tumblr and a couple other places like that as well.
Tumblr.
I know, Tumblr. I had a Tumblr account years ago, and I liked it because it's kind of like if you took Instagram and a blog and put them together. And I'm like, I'm good with that.
I never got into it.
But the thing is that it eventually became pretty much a porn site, and then they took that away. And it's been dying ever since then. I know.
Don't mess with Tumblr. It's the new Facebook. Or not new Facebook, the new MySpace.
Well, we've stayed away from stuff like TikTok and Snapchat.
No, we're not going to refuse.
I don't understand Snapchat. And what I've said about TikTok multiple times is it's kind of the White Claw of social media. So nobody respects it. It's just
it's the Chinese spy bot. That's all it is.
But anyways, like I said, you can go. Like I said, if you look for us at projectGenX Pod, that's our handle on all of that stuff.
Yeah,
we are updating quite a bit.
Look for us on your favorite podcaster.
Maybe by the time this episode comes up, I'll drop in another special announcement on here I'm working on. And, actually, we're working on. You just don't know it yet. So
I don't run my life, folks. I have everything planned for me by my wife and that guy.
Yeah, pretty much. So anyways, guys, thanks once again for joining us. We will see you next time, and hope you have a good rest of the evening.
See ya.